Imagine this. The crackle of firelight dances against a cave wall. Two figures sit close, not just for warmth, but for something far more primal. In a world where survival was never guaranteed, intimacy wasn't just passion, it was power, strategy, and sometimes the difference between life and death. What if I told you that the rules of attraction 4.4 million years ago shaped the very way we love and desire today? Picture yourself in the Stone Age 4.4 million years ago. Every day is a battle against hunger, predators, and the brutal elements. In this world, survival isn't guaranteed. But strangely, even here, people cared about more than just staying alive. They cared about connection. Attraction wasn't about swiping right or trading sweet words. It was about gestures, subtle, powerful, and deeply symbolic. A hunter returning with fresh meat didn't just feed the tribe. He showed potential as a mate, signaling that he could provide and protect. A carefully shaped ornament carved from bone or stone wasn't decoration alone. It was a declaration. I see you, I choose you. Courtship was a language without words. Sharing food wasn't just kindness, it was courtship. Offering a handmade ornament wasn't vanity. It was proof of skill, patience, and dedication. Even playful acts like mimicking animal movements or exaggerated strength displays carried meaning. These were early humans saying, I am strong, I am fertile, I am worth choosing. And in those moments, survival blurred into something else. Desire became strategy, and intimacy became survival itself. Now imagine the firelight flickering against the walls of a cave. The tribe gathers, not just to stay warm, but to witness something powerful. A young man begins a ritual dance, stamping the ground, moving in rhythm with the crackle of flames. His movements aren't random. Every step, every shout, every swing of his arms is a message. These were the first performances, ancient love letters written with the body. Dances, songs, and rhythmic movements allowed early humans to signal fertility, strength, and readiness to bond. A woman who joined in the rhythm, mirroring the steps or locking eyes across the flames, wasn't just enjoying the moment, she was answering the call. Fertility rituals often tied human attraction to the cycles of nature. The phases of the moon, the season's harvest, or the arrival of migrating animals could all spark ceremonies that merged desire with survival. To them, love and sex weren't private emotions. They were cosmic forces linked to the very balance of life around them. In these moments, intimacy became more than attraction. It became ritual, a way to unite bodies, spirits, and survival in.
If you found this video thought-provoking, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on the bell icon so you never miss our deep dives. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. What stood out to you the most? Your support helps us bring you even more amazing stories and insights. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.
One dramatic act. Beyond dances and displays, intimacy in the Stone Age often began with something far quieter, the simple act of touch, a hand brushing against another during a hunt, or a gesture of grooming, removing burrs from hair, tracing lines in the dirt together. These were powerful signals of trust. Touch carried meaning in a world where words were limited. It wasn't just about comfort, it was communication. To lean close, to share warmth, to let another person within reach of your body, these were acts of vulnerability and therefore of intimacy. Early humans didn't need to say, I like you. A lingering hand on the shoulder or sitting side by the fire said it all. Even grooming, picking insects from hair, braiding strands, or painting each other with natural pigments wasn't trivial. These rituals reduced tension, showed care, and created bonds. They signaled safety. I trust you enough to let you close. What's striking is how familiar it feels. Thousands of years later, we still reach for touch when words fall short. A hug, a handhold, a brush of skin. It's our most ancient language of connection, carried forward from the caves into modern life. If attraction brought people together, taboos kept them apart. In the Stone Age, sex was never just personal. It was tied to the survival of the tribe. Certain unions were encouraged, while others were strictly forbidden. These weren't written. Laws carved in stone, but unspoken rules shaped by survival and belief. Incest taboos, for example, may have been among the earliest social rules. Without understanding genetics, early humans still noticed that inbreeding led to weakness or illness. So they wove spiritual warnings around it, declaring such acts cursed or dangerous to the tribe. Similarly, sex during certain hunting or planting seasons might have been restricted, believed to anger spirits or reduce fertility. These rules weren't only practical, they were sacred. To break them wasn't just a private matter. It threatened everyone. A failed hunt, a sudden illness, or even bad weather could be blamed on broken sexual taboos. Desire, then, wasn't free. It had to be balanced with responsibility to the group. And at the center of this system were the elders and shamans, figures who interpreted signs, declared restrictions and guarded the invisible boundaries between passion and danger. In every tribe, there were people who stood at the crossroads of the natural and the supernatural, the shamans and elders. They weren't just healers or storytellers. They were the ones who decided when desire was acceptable and when it was dangerous. To them, sex wasn't only physical, it was spiritual energy, a force that could either bless the tribe with fertility or curse it with misfortune. Shaman might declare that no unions should happen during a hunting expedition, fearing it would distract the spirits of the animals. Or they might demand that couples only mate during certain moon cycles, when fertility was believed to be strongest. Breaking these rules wasn't just rebellion, it was an act of defiance against the unseen forces that governed life and death. To enforce these beliefs, rituals were created. Charms carved from bone, fertility dances around fire, or even symbolic sacrifices were ways to align human desire with nature's will. These rituals weren't taken lightly. Everyone believed their survival depended on them. Through these rules and ceremonies, the shaman's word became law, shaping not just sexual behavior, but the very structure of tribal life. For early humans, intimacy was never just about passion. It was tied to fear, belief, and survival. A failed hunt, a sudden storm, or an outbreak of sickness could all be blamed on someone breaking a sexual taboo. The tribe didn't see coincidence. They saw punishment from spirits or ancestors. This fear made people cautious, always aware that their private choices might ripple out and affect everyone. At the same time, desire never disappeared. Lovers still found ways to meet in secret, to exchange glances across the fire, to touch when no one was watching. But even those moments carried weight. A forbidden embrace wasn't just risky emotionally. It could threaten the tribe's safety. This made attraction more intense, layered with danger and secrecy. Superstition also added strange twists to love. A bone charm might be believed to bring fertility, while a cave marked with handprints could be considered a sacred place for unions. Some rituals even turned playful acts, like grooming hair or synchronized dancing, into spiritual expressions of trust and connection. In this way, fear didn't erase intimacy. Instead, it reshaped it, turning human desire into something both fragile and sacred. In the Stone Age, attraction wasn't just personal, it was political. Who you chose as a mate could strengthen your standing in the tribe or leave you isolated and vulnerable. Desire had layers of meaning. It wasn't only about affection, but also about forging alliances, sharing resources, and securing protection. A skilled hunter might attract more than admiration. His strength promised food, safety, and status. A woman who was resourceful, nurturing, or well-connected through her kin could ensure survival for her children and her mate. These relationships weren't casual. They were strategic bonds that could shape the tribe's balance of power. Even subtle courtship gestures carried weight. A shared meal might be seen as a sign of commitment. A public touch, like holding hands near the fire, could signal to others that a bond had formed, claiming loyalty, trust, and a social contract that everyone recognized. Intimacy, in this sense, was a social glue holding small, fragile communities together. Love wasn't absent, but it was deeply tied to survival politics. In every choice of mate, there was an unspoken calculation. Will this connection keep us alive? When survival depended on cooperation, intimacy went far beyond two people. A relationship could ripple outward, uniting families, forging alliances, or even preventing bloodshed. In a small tribe, every connection mattered. A hunter bonding with the daughter of another family didn't just gain a partner. He built a bridge between two groups, ensuring shared resources, mutual defense, and trust. These partnerships acted as invisible treaties. A union might reduce rivalry over hunting grounds or prevent disputes from turning violent. Mates weren't chosen solely for personal attraction. Their relationships often carried social responsibility. If two individuals formed a pair, it was also a signal to the tribe. Stability, cooperation, and loyalty could be expected. Even playful rituals, dances around the fire, group celebrations of new unions, served to reinforce harmony. They weren't just about romance, they were collective affirmations that the tribe was stronger together. Bonds reduced jealousy, lessened competition, and established clear boundaries around who belonged to whom. Through these intimate partnerships, tribes transformed desire into a tool for social cohesion. In a world where a single conflict could endanger survival, love and sex became subtle strategies for peace. Intimacy in the Stone Age wasn't always gentle or romantic. It was also political. A skilled hunter, strong warrior, or respected leader could attract multiple mates, not only for personal satisfaction, but to secure loyalty and influence. Desire was tied to status. A bond with a high-ranking individual wasn't just about attraction. It could grant protection, access to food, or a better place within the tribe's hierarchy. These relationships often acted as silent negotiations. Choosing a partner wasn't just about love, it was about strategy. Mating with someone influential might shield a family during times of scarcity, while ignoring tribal customs in courtship could lead to punishment or exile. Sex, in this sense, was both a privilege and a responsibility. Even jealousy and rivalry played into this dynamic. Competing for a mate wasn't only about personal desire, it was about proving strength and earning recognition from the group. Every attraction, every union, every rejection was tangled with survival and authority. In the Stone Age, intimacy had two faces, bonding that united tribes and power that shaped hierarchies. Desire wasn't separate from survival. It was at the very core of it.